You're in a room full of people, laughing, talking, having a normal time, and you're there too, physically present, saying the right things, smiling at the right moments. But somewhere inside, there's this quiet, strange feeling, like you're watching everything from behind glass, like everyone else was given a script and somehow yours got lost. You don't fully belong here. But here's the strange part. You've felt this way in almost every room you've ever been in, with family, with friends, at work, even alone sometimes. And the question you've never quite been able to answer is something wrong with me? Or is something actually different about the way I see the world? People who feel like outsiders don't always look like outsiders. They're often the most observant person in the room, the one who notices everything, the one who listens more than they speak. They've usually learned to adapt, to mirror, to fit in just enough. But no matter how well they perform it, that hollow feeling returns. Psychologists sometimes describe this as identity ambiguity, when a person struggles to locate a stable, comfortable sense of self in social environments. But there's something deeper going on that most people never talk about. It's not just that you feel different, it's that you've started to believe that feeling different means something is broken. And that belief, quietly, slowly, changes everything. Here's how it actually works inside your mind. Human brains are wired for belonging. It's not a preference, it's survival code. Thousands of years ago, being rejected from the group meant death. So your brain developed a system, constantly scanning your environment, asking one question on repeat. Am I safe here? Do I fit? When the answer feels uncertain, the brain doesn't just shrug. It fires a mild threat response, the same system that handles physical danger. That's why social disconnection doesn't just feel awkward, it feels physically uncomfortable. A tight chest, restlessness, a vague, unexplainable anxiety. Think of it this way. Your brain is like an old security guard who is trained in a dangerous neighborhood. Even when you move somewhere safe, he keeps checking the locks, scanning every face, looking for threats that may not exist anymore. The cause is simple. You felt different early on, maybe in childhood, maybe in a group that didn't understand you. The brain learned being different equals danger. Now it treats every social situation like a potential threat to your sense of belonging. And the behavior it creates? You pull back. You observe more than you participate. You hold yourself at a careful distance from groups. Not because you don't want connection, but because connection feels risky in a way that's hard to explain. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is what happens over time. When you consistently feel like you don't fully belong anywhere, you start to build your identity around that feeling. I'm just someone who doesn't fit in. I'm different. I'm difficult. I'm too much, or not enough. And once that story becomes part of how you see yourself, it starts shaping every decision you make. You don't raise your hand because people like you don't get to lead. You leave the party early because staying feels like fraud. You keep friendships shallow because going deeper means risking rejection. You self-edit constantly, shrinking, adjusting, performing, and the exhaustion of it never fully leaves. Be honest with yourself. How many times have you changed something about yourself just to feel less like the odd one out? How much of your energy goes into managing how others perceive you rather than just existing? That's the hidden cost. Not just loneliness, but the slow erosion of trusting your own instincts about who you are. Now here's where things shift. What if the feeling of not belonging isn't a flaw in you? What if it's actually a signal that you've always been someone who thinks in a wider frame than most people around you? People who consistently feel like outsiders tend to share something interesting. They develop an unusual ability to see systems, patterns, and contradictions that people deeply inside a group often can't see. Because they were never fully absorbed, they never stopped observing. They can walk into a room and read the social dynamics within minutes. They can hold two conflicting ideas at once without needing to choose a side. They often feel deeply in environments that others find shallow. The same sensitivity that makes belonging painful makes depth possible. Think about it for a second. The very thing that has caused you the most quiet suffering might also be the thing that makes you someone worth knowing. Not broken, differently calibrated. Here's the idea to hold on to. Most people confuse belonging with sameness. They think fitting in means becoming indistinguishable from the group. But belonging, real belonging, never required you to disappear. The reason you felt like an outsider in so many rooms isn't because you're wrong for every room. It's because you've been looking for rooms that don't require you to pretend. And those rooms exist. Those people exist. Remember that moment at the beginning? Standing in the room, watching through glass, wondering if something was wrong with you? That feeling wasn't evidence of a flaw. It was your internal system doing its job, telling you, this isn't quite your place. Keep looking. The mental model to carry forward is this: outsider feeling equals a compass, not a verdict. It doesn't mean you are too broken to belong. It means you haven't stopped being honest about where you actually fit. The people who have felt like outsiders their whole lives often end up building the most genuine connections later, because they never lost their hunger for something real. They stopped performing. They stopped shrinking. And slowly, they found the people in the spaces where the glass wall simply wasn't there. That's not a guarantee. It doesn't happen automatically. But it starts with one small shift: seeing the outsider feeling as information, not identity. You're not fundamentally disconnected from the world. You're someone who refuses to feel connected to the wrong version of it. And maybe the question worth sitting with today isn't, why don't I fit in? But what would it feel like to stop trying to? If this felt familiar, you're not the only one carrying it.